Hi guys, and welcome back to the Yoga Doc. I'm Leah Deutsch, founder of the Yoga Doc, and thanks for joining me on this second part of my two-part sequence looking a bit more at stability and side body strengthening, which is going to be really helpful to you in your pregnancy. So part one is our ease sequence, and I would definitely recommend you do that or any other of my ease sequences before getting into this more energetic and slightly more challenging flow sequence where we're going to be looking a little bit more at balance. So with that in mind, what I would say is, in terms of props, it might be helpful for you to have a block. If you haven't got a block, a yoga block available, then just something that's going to give you a little bit more elevation. So maybe a couple of books or a cushion, but something that's going to be stable for that support during some of the balancing poses and during the side stretches. Otherwise, enjoy your practice and let's get started. So we're going to start today where we left off in our previous ease sequence, so into our wide leg child's pose. So keep your knees nice and wide here, toes touch, and then you're just going to start to ease your body forward. So softening the body down, using your breath to get there, walking the hands forward. And taking a few moments just to settle in here. So find that stability and find your centering here. If you need a cushion or a block between the calves and the thighs here, just to lift your hips a little bit more and make it a bit more comfortable, then by all means go ahead and do that. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths here. In through the nose and out through the nose. Feeling expansion through the side ribs here. And so obviously you have a little less space here in pregnancy with your baby, so it may be slightly more awkward to accommodate that, so you might want to lift your head up, resting on your hands or on blocks or cushions. Wherever you are, just take 2 more breaths. Beginning to reach forward with the hands, finding a stretch and opening through the shoulders. And reaching through the fingertips, engaging through the sides of the arms. And then start to push into the shins, tuck the tailbone down as you draw your body forward. And bringing the legs nice and parallel here, hip width apart. And pressing into the hands. And tucking the toes. And we're going to start to just do a couple of cat-cows here, just to open up through the back once again. As I said, you should be nice and warm from doing one of the ease videos. So this is really just finding the mobility again through the spine. And gliding chest forward. And then on the exhale, tucking the toes into the ground, pushing them through and lifting the knees up as you come into your downward facing dog. And wiggling the legs back a little bit more if you need to, keeping the knees nice and bent. Allow your baby to sit back towards your thighs, pushing into the hands. So the weight is shifting back. You're really using your hands here to find a nice stretch through the outer and underarms. Lifting yourself back towards your baby. And then maybe walking the heels out here. Walking your dog down. Shifting from one side to the other. And then settling into your dog. Take a nice deep breath here. And then lifting the right leg up towards the sky, flexing through the heel. Shift it gradually with the breath towards the front of the mat. Softening the knee down towards the floor. And taking an inhale, coming up to a low lunge. Exhaling, bringing yourself into a revolved low lunge. So glancing back towards that back hand, reaching forward with the front hand, pushing into that. You're not collapsing down here, and you've got a lovely 90-degree bend here in the knee. Lifting up, taking one more breath. Exhaling, bringing the hands round, bring the hands forward, and then seeing if you can tuck the toe, heel toe that right foot to the side, step the left foot forward. And then come to a nice wide leg squat here. So bend the knees, keep the hands on the floor. Now, if you've got any pelvic girdle issues, I want you to stay here. So bend the knees as much as you need to. If you haven't got any pelvic girdle issues, then you can sink back into a Malasana wide leg squat. And so you can turn the toes out a little bit here, but try to avoid that overturning here. And sit back on the heels. Now if you can't get the heels to the ground, then you might be on your toes. You might want to place a couple of cushions or a block underneath each heel to give yourself a little bit more stability and lift. And then see if you can bring the hands to prayer, drawing the thumbs towards your sternum, lifting up through the chest, pushing into the thighs with the elbows, and taking one more breath. And then exhaling, bringing the hands back down to the floor. And then from here, stepping the right leg back, knee to the floor, place the left leg on the floor, and come into that low lunge once again on the opposite side. So pushing up into the hands, hugging your baby into your spine, and then taking a little revolve twist onto the opposite direction. So looking back onto the back hand, lifting up through the pubic bone, through the pelvic floor, so that you're nice and lifted and not collapsed into the lower back. Looking back towards the thumb of the back hand. One more breath. And then exhaling, we're milling the hands round. Bring the knee back towards the back of the mat, tuck the toes under, and then coming back towards your downward facing dog. Taking 2 breaths here. And then begin to walk the hands back towards the heels. Softening the knees here, and giving yourself space for your baby by maybe widening the stance a little bit. Bend the knees, hold opposite elbows, and just let your body flop down here. And see if you can keep the hips over the heels. And then maybe start to strengthen through the legs a little bit here. So just sort of kind of come into a little soft bounce. So you're not fully straightening the legs, but you're just starting to stretch and wake up the back of the knees, back of the hamstrings. And then relaxing the arms, and then finding your way to rolling up. So you may want to put your hands on your thighs here to give yourself a little bit more support as you roll all the way up towards your standing. So at the back of your mat in Tadasana, keeping the feet hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider if you're a little bit more pregnant and you need that stability and that openness. Keeping the palms facing forward, and imagine you've got some weights on your wrist here. So drawing the arms away from the shoulders, feeling that heaviness through the arms, lifting up through the chest, and hug your baby into your spine. Take a pause and a breath. Bring the hands to the hips here and sink down into a seat here. So you're coming into Utkatasana chair pose. Now see if you can shift your tailbone back a little bit, and then draw your knees forward at the same time. So you've got that evenness, that sinking down and heaviness into the floor. Taking a breath, inhaling, coming up, opening up through the arms and coming onto the tiptoes. Now find a point that's not moving, your drishti, your focus point, and see if you can use that to help you with your balance and stability. Push into the balls of the toes evenly here, and then lift up through the front of the thighs just to create a little bit more stability and balance here, engaging the legs. Find that balance and find your breath. Lovely. Hands back down to the hips as you sink down once again into your Utkatasana chair pose. Lift up with the chest, lift the knees forward, tailbone back. Find that balance and that seated stability here. Coming up once again into your lift, up with the arms, pushing into the toes. Strengthen through the front and back of the legs. Draw your baby towards your spine and find that focus point. Now bring the hands to the hips as you sink down one more time, finding that grounding, that stability, and then lifting the arms so you find that lightness that we created with our lift. Opening through the chest, lovely. Look up towards the hands. And then with that bend in the knees, bring the hands to the hips and start to roll yourself forward towards the floor, lovely. Walking the hands to the front of the mat. Dropping the knees here. Untuck the toes and come into a little baby push-up here. So as much as you're able to, just softening the elbows, bringing the chest forward. Walking the hands to the back of the mat. Fingertips point towards the toes, then lifting through the chest, lifting through the hips, opening up. Exhaling, bum towards the heels as you walk yourself forward towards the front of the mat. Tuck the toes, coming into your downward facing dog. Take a pause, take a breath, find your breath. And right leg kicks up towards the sky, and draw the right leg forward to the front of the mat. Now we're going to come into a high lunge here, so make sure you find your grounding and stability before you come up. So pushing into big toe, little toe and heel. Take an inhale as you engage the pelvic floor, and as you exhale, coming up, holding that pelvic floor into your high lunge. We're going to just pause here for a moment as we find our stability. Sink down into that front knee and avoid the urge to sink, collapsing forward and lose that lower back. So bend that back knee for a moment, tuck the tailbone under and then straighten through that back leg. Lovely, lift through the chest. Exhaling, right arm reaches back, left arm forward, coming into that revolved twist in the high lunge. Taking 2 breaths. Inhaling, sweeping the right arm round. Place the left foot on the floor at a 45-degree angle. Straighten up through that front leg as you reach the left arm down the back of the leg into a reverse Trikanasana, reverse triangle. Look up towards the arm. Exhaling. This is where your block might come in handy, so you might want it just inside the front foot here. So we're going to bring the left hand to the hip as we slide the right arm down the inside edge of that right leg. Now, wherever you get to is absolutely fine. You want to avoid the urge to be like really dumping and collapsing here. So you want to find a length through the side body here as you push the back of the hand into the calf, or maybe press into a block or cushion, whatever you've got there, to give yourself some lift and support here. And then maybe lifting that left arm up towards the sky. And taking a breath. See if you can lean your upper body back a little bit and draw your tailbone down towards your back heel, so you've got that diagonal line that you're creating from upper body to back of the leg. And then bringing that arm overhead now, looking towards that front arm. We're going to exhale, we're going to bend that elbow, cactus it, looking down towards the big toe. Inhaling, opening through the chest, looking up towards the arm as you straighten it. Exhaling, cactus arm, look down towards that big toe. Inhaling, straightening, look. Exhaling, dropping the head, bending the arm. Inhaling, straightening and looking. Lovely. Bringing the hand to the hip now. Bend through that front knee and just step the foot in a couple of inches, so just kind of start to shift the weight into that front leg. Now with your block here, you might want it on the little toe side of your front foot now, so I'd keep it on its highest height as you start to shift the weight into that back leg. Now see how far you can come, so just maybe lift that back leg off the floor, keep a little bend in the front knee as you bounce, and then maybe start to lift that back leg a little bit more, maybe starting to straighten that supporting leg. And then bringing your hand wherever it is, maybe lifting that top arm off the hip, and then see if you can flex and point through that back toe. So pushing through the ball of the big toe, lifting that top leg. So wherever you're at, bend that front knee now, softening that leg down. Well done. So coming back up with a bent knee and come into a reverse warrior this time. So bending into the front knee, opening through the side of the body as you look up towards the arm. Lovely. We're milling the arms, so bringing the right hand down, bringing the left arm down, put the left knee on the floor and step the right knee back. Tuck the toes and either coming back to a child's pose for a moment or coming into your downward facing dog. Taking 2 breaths wherever you are. Remembering you've always got options here, and if you ever need to stop, that's always available to you. Listening to your body. And draw your hips back towards the back of the room. And then coming onto the opposite side. So left leg kicks up this time, flexing through the heel. And then draw the left foot to the front of the mat, however you get there. Find that balance, that's foundation before you come into that high lunge. So big toe, little toe and heel pushes into the mat. Lifting up with that pelvic floor as you inhale, then as you exhaling, pushing up, maybe pushing into the thigh if you need that extra support. Inhaling, coming up into your high lunge. Remembering that avoidance of dumping into the lower back. So bend in the back knee, tuck the tailbone under, sink down a little bit more and then straighten through that back leg. Looking up. And then coming into your revolved high lunge here as you look back towards that back arm. And taking 2 more breaths here. Lovely. Windmilling the arms around. So you're going to come into your reverse triangle, so placing the back foot on the floor at 45 degrees, maybe bringing it in a couple more inches, and then bringing the right arm down the back of the leg, left arm reaches up, straightening through that front leg now, look towards the top arm. And then from here we're going to come into our triangle pose, so bring the right hand to the hip. So see if you can keep a little softening into the front knee as you come in. Sliding the left hand now down inside the left leg. Maybe have your block there to support you. Lift up through the side of the body and then lift the right arm up towards the sky. Coming into your Trikanasana. So if you can lean the body back a little bit towards, as if there's a wall behind you, and guide your tailbone down towards the back heel. And then maybe bringing the arm overhead, softening the arm, so avoid the urge to hunch the shoulder here, draw the shoulder away from the ear. Exhaling, cactusing the arms as you look down towards the big toe. Keep a little softening in that front leg so you're not hyperextending through the joint here. And joints are a lot more soft in pregnancy, so we need to be really protective of those, so engaging the thigh here to protect the joint. Taking 2 more here as you look down, as you cactus the arms, inhaling, looking up, straightening the arm, exhaling, cactusing, inhaling, looking up. Lovely. Bringing the hand to the hip now, bend through the front knee, bring your block to the outside, the little toe side of that front leg, and start to tap that foot further towards the front of the mat. So bend into the front knee, and then start to shift the weight. So this may be where you're at, that's absolutely fine. Maybe you start to straighten through the front leg. Maybe you start to lift that back leg up a little bit more. Maybe you reach up with that top arm and see if you can flex through that back leg, stacking one hip on top of the other. And being really careful here with your balance. And then bending the front knee, stepping back, coming into your reverse warrior on the opposite side, so sinking down, bringing right arm towards the right thigh, lifting up with the left arm, looking towards the hand. One more breath. And then windmilling the arms back down towards the floor. Right knee, left knee. And bringing the knees nice and wide, toes touch, and then back to where you began in your child's pose. Walking the hands to the left side of the mat, maybe placing the right hand on top of the left, finding that little side stretch through the body. And coming back to the opposite side. Finding your breath once again, making sure you try to create an evenness here so you haven't lost your breath. Connecting with your baby and coming back to the center. So taking as long as you need to in this child's pose, and when you finish, coming into your Savasana, so either lying on your left side or coming into a supported lying down pose, so making sure you're at 45 degrees if you're over 20 weeks. So thanks for practicing with me today, guys, and congratulations if you made it all the way through. That was quite a challenging sequence. And as always, if you've got any comments or any questions at all, then please don't hesitate to write below, and please do subscribe and click on the bell for notifications of any future videos that are coming up. And as always, please do like if you enjoyed the video so that it's more accessible to other people. Have a lovely day and namaste. If you've enjoyed this class and would like access to more free videos, then don't forget to go ahead and click subscribe.